Hey guys, D.Bowie here, and today we're going to talk about Secret.MP's mid Monkey King. First of all, this is not something that can be done every game. I don't recommend picking MK mid against Co-op, Death Prophet, Viper, Wind Ranger, but there are heroes that Monkey King is pretty good against, especially in a solo lane. Some of them are Storm, Ember Spirit, Dragon Knight, Zeus, Kunkka. You basically want to go against melee heroes that are not Ursa and or heroes that don't have a lot of move speed and or armor. In this case, Storm is kinda slow, he has a bunch of armor, but still he suffers a lot, especially because his skills don't have a lot of range. Well, for starters, since Storm doesn't have a lot of move speed early on, pay attention what MP can do at level 1. He doesn't even get a good block because he was actually sniping Storm's courier even though he's mid. Pretty sure this is the type of thing you can pull off as long as this doesn't get popular, so maybe you can try it out. But pay attention, he loses an entire creep wave and still look what he's able to achieve. He pulls the creeps towards his range creep. Since he has more move speed than Storm, and the enemy hero went all the way to get the last hit on the range creep, he can easily get 4 jingle stacks. Not only that, this gives him 2 free denies, but pay attention how he uses the fact that he's about to level up to actually wait a little bit and deny 1 creep from Storm as well as harass him at the same time. Storm has 15% HP, MP is full HP, and he has been there for just 1 creep wave. The fact he was able to kill the courier early guarantees him lane dominance. So as you watch Storm dying, I want to give my 2 cents on why I feel like Monkey King is now a decent core. If you look at the changes, his ult's not good enough for a support, because it's just a skill that scales, it's not very strong on level 6. It's not like the ult is bad, but the usual support power spike comes too late for the ult to feel effective at like 10-12 minutes into the game. Combined with the fact you have no items to make the ult feels better, you're just too weak as a support. But the hero got a lot of buffs, and just to list a few, the soldier's attack rate went from 2.0 to 1.6. This is ridiculously big, especially considering you have like 12 soldiers, I don't know. Tree Dance got a cooldown reduction, making him even more slippery, the base region was buffed, primal spring damage and the crit was raised, his own BAT is faster than Terrorblade now. Well, you get the idea. They get the kill, and you can see why even though Storm is good against melee heroes, he doesn't stand a chance against Monkey King. Yes, there are a bunch of heroes ganking Storm, but the key aspect of mid Monkey King is the ability to get easy jingle stacks and then get the lifesteal. You can see that he got 4 stacks before anyone shows up, which means he will be full HP without wasting any mana, while Storm spent a lot of remnants there to even harass him a little bit. You can see that he avoids some of the remnants, but even if he takes some damage, he's fine for now. When you dominate the lane against bottle heroes, it's always a good idea to check at least 1 rune spot, because most mid heroes that can jungle rely on mana to do it. He ends up finding a haste rune that he uses to gank Slark. I'm not a big fan of early rotations like this because the mid lane is so valuable and juicy in terms of gold, especially now that he already completely harassed the Storm Spirit, but if you pay attention, he goes for it as he shoves the creeps in the tower. This is the only time that it's worth, in my opinion, to do it, since the next enemy creep wave won't be damaged as much by the creeps. On top of that, since he has a courier bringing him his items, he can kill Slark here without even spending mana, mind you, TP back, and still get the range creep from that first wave. Since he didn't commit Boundless Strike in that kill, look what he can achieve here. Even if Storm wasn't ganked, he wouldn't be level 6, and this goes to show the power of this hero. Monkey King is now level 7, and if you pay attention, he gets an extra level of Boundless Strike instead of the passive. If we compare the options he has, it's either 2 points in Boundless Strike with max passive, which means his Boundless Strike with 4 jingle stacks would have 150 bonus damage with 175 crit. This is 260 damage. If he has 3 points in Boundless Strike and 3 points in the passive, he has 125 bonus damage with 200% crit, which is 250 damage. Almost the same, but with bigger stun duration. And the stun duration is way more important to secure kills with your ult, especially when you're against the Storm Spirit. And he gets a perfect opportunity. As he pushes the mid lane, Storm TPs in, and look how he approaches this. He ults and stuns as the monkeys are forming. The amount of damage he deals for this stage of the game is insane, and Storm actually plays this pretty well. He was trying to lure MP out of his ult, but MP wins this fight because he utilizes the hero correctly. First of all, you can't forget that you get 8 extra armor inside your ult, and during this fight, he never left it. What's even more cool is the way he approaches his remaining jingle stacks. Pay attention, he gets 1 last hit and completely ignores the other 2. Is he afraid of a gank? Maybe Legion has a dagger. No, he uses the Boundless Strike to get to full HP. This is why this hero is so good. He's one of the best 1 versus 1 heroes, and considering the enemy team doesn't get good rotation heroes, they have a Slark that won't gank until Shadow Blade, and one offlaner that just wants to stay in his lane. Monkey King can be easily ganked by 2 or 3 heroes, but in this game there's no possibility of it early on, and this is why it was such a good pick. If you pay attention, MP has no levels in Tree Dance until this point. Pretty much every buff Monkey King received is related to his attacks, be it his ult attacks, his own attacks, Jingle Mastery, Boundless Strike. I feel that if you're playing offlane, you can get 1 point of the skill and just be fine, but in a lane like this one, I am a big fan of his skill build. At level 11, he gets the first point of the skill, and we can see him using it immediately and perfectly. I feel like a lot of people still don't understand how the vision works. I have a full video talking about it, but the TLDR when ganking is never jump across anyone. As long as you're not jumping through people, even if you are in the same set of trees, people won't know you were there, unless they have wards and you actually cross a section where they have vision because of a ward. But anyways, I'm a big fan of how he approaches this fight. He knows Kotl is an easy kill, so he doesn't go in immediately with the ult. This ends up luring Bristleback to actually kill Lifestealer, and I feel like he could get 4 stacks before committing the Boundless Strike. He was probably trying to save Lifestealer, but the damage was so strong that it procced an extra quill and he doesn't end up saving him. What makes this game hard though is the fact that while Monkey King can be pretty good against Storm in the laning phase, and most of the Dire lineup, Kotl is actually a hard counter to the hero. He instantly counters his ult here, and even though MP was smart to jump to the trees before someone damages him, Storm is actually pretty good at finding him. Unfortunately though, at least for the Dire team, since he's quite farmed and now has more strength gain as well as an evasion talent, he's able to TP away. Always get the evasion talent, by the way. Considering your BAT and the fact that Echo Saber is pretty much core on the hero, attack speed just doesn't really synergize with the hero as much as evasion. In this clip here, he goes for a solo kill on Bristle, and we can pay attention to small details that might go unnoticed. First of all, he waits the phase boots cooldown to be ready and Bristleback to stop moving, and instead of trying to slow the Porcupine right away, he uses Boundless Strike to set up the slow. He only activates the phase boots after going down and in order to get in front of him to deal extra damage. He makes sure to always hit the sides at least, and even under 8 quill stacks, he gets the kill. That lifesteal is actually amazing. Afterwards, he could easily jump down and hit Storm, but what if Legion duels him or he dies to a lucky passive proc? Instead, he patiently waits until they align themselves because he has Jingle stacks, and then he feels safe jumping in since he has 1 less stack. You might not feel like it, but Monkey King as a core is a hero that has to snowball, and being cautious while also getting kills without dying allows MP to stay ahead and make the hero feel this strong. In this other clip, MP tries to cancel Bristle's travel, fails to do so, but makes sure to get the Jingle stacks afterwards. If there's this hero that doesn't have any disables or you just feel that it's weak and you just can't hit him, always get the Jingle stacks, even if you just disengage afterwards. As the fight starts in the river, pay attention how he never uses Boundless Strike. Ideally, he would like to commit it to lock Slark in, but Dark Pact was never used, so he refrains from doing so. Since he was so cautious, he's able to again commit the ult, but pay attention how he does it. He doesn't ult right away with Boundless Strike. First, he attacks with the Echo Saber ready, and then ults followed by the stun. That's a lot of extra damage, but more important, it's disable and more time of the enemy inside the Wukong's command. This fight is pretty good and showcases how the new Monkey King should be played when facing hard counters like Kotl. As he responds, Spirit Breaker is charging a group of enemy heroes, and instead of jumping in and ulting trying to deal as much damage as possible, he uses Bristle being the hero in the front lines to get passive stacks. As soon as he completes the 4 Jingle stacks, he uses it to explode Legion, and he still keeps fighting like a right-click carry. Only after Blinding Light gets used, he ults, and the way he plays around his ultimate is just beautiful. He uses the phase boots to get away from Slark, but without leaving his ult. You can see how precise he is with his clicking patterns. The Echo Saber's low buys time for him to use Tree Dance, and you can see that he jumps into the trees where there's fog. Because of this, Kotl has no time to cast Mana Leak, has to run away, and since he needs time to turn and cast Mana Leak, MP ends up getting an easy kill. He knows that Slark is around though, and now you're going to see the reason SG won against Secret. He makes a big play, confusing the enemies, his allies, and eventually a fight that seemed pretty good for Radiant slips away in countless deaths. That being said though, this goes to show how Monkey King can be super good and super bad, especially as the game goes on. It's hard to know when to stop and which fights you can take or not. After that fight, we see a nice play coming from MP. In these big 5 vs 5 fights, you rarely want to be the one initiating with Monkey King. The beauty of this hero is being able to be in a position where the entire enemy is fighting but not focusing you. He goes towards the trees and doesn't stun as soon as Spirit Breaker charges. He waits his ult formation while he waits for the enemy heroes to align and they get 2 important heroes down. Just a few moments later though, you can see what I mean. Storm and Slark set up a trap. Remnant gives flying vision and he gets taken down without being able to do anything. Quite unfortunate, but this is Monkey King. He's very strong when you have your ult, very strong when you have the upper hand, but he is not that hard to be brought down. We see a pretty similar engagement when he respawns. They charge Slark, and even though the fish slips away, they end up taking Bristle back down. I want you to pay attention to this fight. Every time MP ulted, he always stood around his ult. I'm not saying this is something you should do every game, but in a game against Storm and Slark, very mobile heroes, leaving your ult is a red flag for them to go on you immediately. Since he stays there, Slark never re-engages on him and it gives him the ability to take down Bristleback. But the most important part about this engagement, in my opinion, is that he could go to the side shop and get a TP or cut a wave and farm it. That's not what he goes for. He goes all the way around the trees because he has Jingle stacks, and as I said before, these are your biggest friends the entire game. He pretty much one-hit kills Storm from the fog with no counterplay whatsoever. Of course, this happens because he went for the Jingle stack damage talent instead of the HP, which I highly recommend for core Monkey King, especially considering that the build he goes for includes 2 items that give strength, as well as Monkey King having more strength gain in this patch. In this fight over here, he goes in technically alone, since Disruptor is definitely dead, and while he can take Kato out of the fight, there's no way he's killing Slark under the shrine. So not only he's healing, there are TPs coming in, he went in without ult ready, and it's never a good idea to fight without the upper hand if your ult is on cooldown. I like that he's going BKB eventually, even with so many lockdown and initiation on his side. He died that time, and actually dies again in this clip while Nature's Prophet was disconnected, and this means free barracks for the enemy team. When MP respawns though, I like what he does. Most people would farm the creeps invading the base, because that's what you do when you get rexed. He does something completely different though. He positions himself in a very hidden place. Maybe to kill someone that tries to go bot. After all, in 4K games below, everyone from Radiant would consider this game over. But there's more to it. They just took 2 lanes of barracks down. There's a big chance that a ward is hidden in their base, and if he gets jumped and dies by a Storm or a Slark, the game is just over. Dire actually feels like the game is over, and they just go in to fight again, which is a terrible idea. This Kato has no items, so even though it's daytime, he has no ult, guaranteeing an easy double kill inside Wukong's command. As they go mid to push, I want you to pay attention how MP never committed Boundless Strike to kill the creep wave. We already saw him being able to do that during the game, but the cooldown at this stage of the game is super important in a situation like this. Also, killing the creep wave with one skill will not increase the speed that the creeps reach the base, which is the only thing that is holding them from actually hitting the towers. They start hitting the tower, and I love how MP approaches this push. He starts hitting the barracks slowly, but he knows that Storm is going in eventually. He clicked on him before, knows he has a TP, and he will go in eventually. The trick here is that he ults in the region of the barracks. The enemy team knows how strong this is. He uses his BKB to take the barracks and then he just leaves. A heavily farmed Monkey King is very good in pushing barracks provided he has BKB, because his ult is super scary at this stage of the game. He doesn't run away completely though. Those late game engagements are all about going in unnoticed through the trees and having Boundless Strike ready. See how he goes towards the trees from the fog and doesn't even bother showing up until the cooldown is ready? Afterwards, he ends up dying, but he has buyback and Nature's Prophet to defend the base. As he respawns, I want you to take a look on the Radiant base. This game might seem clowny, but pay attention how they make sure to have sentries in the entrance of the base, as well as vision in multiple places, inside and around the base. You need to have vision like this to deal with heroes like Storm, Legion, and Slark. He goes for a very nice bait. If you pay attention, MP has a glimpse of vision from Bissell as well as Legion in the top lane. Since he also has vision around the area Slark is, he goes for a very greedy jump that might feel even dumb, and obviously Storm tries to initiate. But he was able to jump, even though the tree is cut, he actually moves position. Another great decision in my opinion in this fight is that he doesn't commit BKB as well as ult at the same time. BKB is enough to fight two heroes, especially two mobile ones that could easily disengage Wukong's command. Legion and the others want to go in now, and pay attention how again he goes through the trees to start something. He instantly takes Cotto Aegis down, and when Legion commits duel, it's a great time to ult, since he will be standing there. He saves his ally, they kill a bunch of heroes, and this time he commits Boundless Strike in the creep wave since it heals him back to full HP. So at this stage of the game I feel like there are only two reasons you should use Boundless Strike in a creep wave. You're very low on HP, or all the enemy heroes are dead and you're not going to fight them during this small timing window. This game is pretty long and Monkey King can be a little bit boring since there's not so much to analyze, but this is when they pretty much win the game. It gets to a point where MP is so strong that he gets a rampage. His level 25 talent is actually insane. You can see that he almost takes Bristle back by himself with one Boundless Strike, even though he had his back turned. They force a bunch of buybacks, but eventually they lose some heroes and they get pushed. MP bought a Rapier. Pay attention how he goes for this play. Storm was probably walking towards that direction to use a Remnant, but since he aligned himself with other heroes, he deals an insane amount of damage and they win this fight just because of this pretty much. If you don't have a Shadow Blade and you buy a Rapier, always initiate for the trees and ideally never initiate a fight. Just go in later. You're gonna kill everyone provided you get a good Boundless Strike. And even if you don't get one and you have items that can slow people like Skadi, Sanjanyasha, and Echo Saber, you can easily take everyone down with your Wukong's command. As of always, Pugna is a platform where you can learn from people like Chessie, Fogged, Monib and get better at the game. They have now great content on this new patch, and if you want to raise your MMR, it's a great time. Just figure out the patch faster than others and get those easy wins. Guys, before I start this video, I just want to remember everyone that Pugna is the only reason that this channel was able to flourish and become so big. I mean, I usually just talk about them at the end of the video, but I really feel like they deserve this. They released a new tool that it's called Oracle. It's probably the best analyzing tool that's available at the moment. It's super detailed. It has a lot of things that analyze your performance, a lot of stats that I never saw being shown anywhere else, and it's just free. You need to register on Pugna, but you don't need to actually pay to use the tool, and it's amazing. I'm going to make a video just about it because I feel like there's a lot of stuff that you can learn about yourself and how to improve by just looking at the stats.